Is there a pressure on cards, physical plastic now? I mean, is it no longer a given, or how do you see this unfolding over the course of the next period of time?
I think we've seen like a huge shift in how people are banking. So like the shift, like quite rightly said, the shift to digital. I can't remember what the stats. I think 15% of the population downloaded a banking app for the first time during lockdown, which is like, it's an incredible and unbelievable shift in time. I don't think anything could quite have done that quite like a pandemic. What that means is, like, for the physical card, a lot of people are thinking, well, do I actually still need it? And so we live up in Yorkshire, and there are still places that don't take virtual only cards. And so you kind of do need that physical presence. However, for us, we're very much of the opinion that, if you don't need to have a physical card, because you can save quite a lot of CO2 emissions by just taking that virtual option. However, there are very much reasons why people need them. If your phone runs out of battery, Pete was saying yesterday, and there are some places in rural parts of the country that actually it doesn't accept Apple and Google Pay everywhere. Yet.
And because I think, so we're opting for physical, so virtual first, opting for physical. And I would love to see a world where we don't need those physical cards, just because of the outlay of CO2 and everything else in manufacturing, but I don't think we're there just yet.
It's all around user experience, isn't it? What we've seen is fantastic. The amount of things that you can do digitally now are fantastic, and the more options for the consumers, the better. Absolutely on your point there. I think it's not as irrelevant at the moment, but once restrictions are lifted, people go out after work, long days, and their batteries on their phone dies. How are they getting home? There's a lot of research to show that people find physical cars more reliable. They always carry one round. They've got their phones and everything else, but they have one in case. But not only that, and I'm sure that the trade guys will appreciate this as well. It's marketing. It's showing off your brand. If you go out with friends and you pay for drinks and you have a standout card like your guys' card, it's a talking point. It's referral. It's huge for brands, and we certainly see that on lots of marketing. Social media is crazy for it. I mean, can you imagine that, some people would probably say if there wasn't that iconic hot coral Monzo card, would they have got the traction they'd have got?
But Emily, do you think we are tending towards virtual, or are you saying the card is here to stay?
I'm saying that the card is here to stay for a long time. And, we're seeing the card adapt as well. You've got biometrics, you've got people are interested in the cards. And one of the interesting facts that we've seen is people having a physical card with their name on it actually means that they buy into programs more and they feel part of the program. I think it's an absolute mixture, and the whole aim of every program is to enhance user experience. By having both and the option to have both, I think you're hitting everything there.
So what is going to impede the transition to an eco-friendly future? Is fintech going to drive this, and what's going to slow it up?
Two really big things for me. One is I'm going to call it cost, but I think it's like the actual product that people use. So for us, we are an eco-friendly or a sustainable challenger coming through. The thing that we have to make sure we do is have a product that people think is amazing from a debit card perspective, because if people don't think our platform, our actual banking side of things is good, they won't use us. Producing that as a product that people want to use, and then also doing the climate element of that is actually quite a challenge, because people don't want to overpay for something just because it's sustainable. So I think one of the biggest challenges for us is how do we put and give people that same experience, the same customer services, whilst overlaying a completely new and bespoke sort of like industry first element on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's two parts to it. I think there's the suppliers like us that produce cards. So it's our job to do what we're doing to make sure that our products and our processes are sustainable and educating our clients. But what you guys at Tread are doing is fantastic, because I think one of the hurdles is knowledge. And what you're doing is you're actually giving that knowledge to your cardholders and allowing them to think about things. But sometimes people, if they're not an expert in a field, they need to understand, what impact their actions are having. And that's what you guys are giving to the cardholders. So I think that's fantastic. So all around sharing knowledge and taking away the perception that, you know, having to go green or be more sustainable is a massive hurdle, because it's not. And I'm sure you guys are going to show that in your app. So it's fantastic.
There is a tightrope that companies like us need to tread, which, excuse the pun. Yeah, because it is about information. It is about supporting people in making active decisions, not being so blunt and in the face of a customer that they turn away from it. Because climate change can be real doom and gloom, and there is a risk that people will look at an app like ours and go, "Holy, I don't even want to face into this. I'm probably just going to delete that app and put it back in my pocket," and almost not face into the problem. So there is a tightrope we need to walk of supporting people in making good changes and facing into the problem without being too turned off and put off by the weight of the issue.
I was going to go for a terrible analogy of, I was picturing a tornado or like a hurricane in my head, which is probably the wrong way of explaining climate change. But like, I think there's been people like David Attenborough, it wouldn't be a talk about green finance without mentioning him, has done some amazing work to educate like the impact of these things. And so that's changed consumer behavior slightly. And then that has sort of slowly picked up more and more speed from businesses. As soon as business gets more traction from those sustainable offerings, it then kind of spirals. Now, I think we're now at the point where the snowball effect has kind of taken over, and it's now this ever increasing momentum. I think COVID's then accelerated that somewhat. But yeah, I really think it's like a whirlwind. And now it kind of, as Emily, you said, it's like customers come to expect it. And therefore it kind of comes around this whole full circle of, well, if you aren't providing it, you kind of have to change, otherwise consumers won't come to you.
One really interesting conversation we had about, we were talking about expansion. Do you go Europe first, then America, or the other way around? We've been speaking to people doing very similar stuff to us. He said the appetite in each market for the two products, the reduction product, so helping you make life decisions, and the offsetting product, are polarized. So supposedly Europe are much more up for the reduction product first. So help me make changes to my lifestyle, then I'll offset. Where America is the other way around, I will start offsetting first. I'm really interested to see how that changes over the coming years, months and years, and see whether everyone marries up into the same place and let me do both, or they stay in that order. And like, I have no idea how it's ended up like that, but I think it's very interesting.
As a newish fintech, do you think the stresses and regulations and direction coming from regulators down onto investors is going to make it more difficult for fintechs to, I guess, achieve investment that unless they're really demonstrating the same approach to eco-friendliness?
We've seen a phenomenal amount of traction from an investment point of view, because we kind of sit really nice, or just any product. So we sit really nicely in the sphere of fintech, but also sustainability. Even before regulation comes down really quite heavy on the ESG side of things, like everyone asks what are our sustainable credentials. Everyone asks how we're helping fight climate change, and for that, our whole proposition is built around that. So it's quite an easy sell for us. That's kind of a real positive. So the amount of VCs, etc., and funding, sort of people want to see the traction behind it, obviously, because we're a new kid on the block. But I think that in itself has seen an amazing amount of traction behind it. However, the flip side of that argument is that because everyone needs to see sustainable credentials, every business now pitches with the sustainable credentials.
I guess it starts with like every decision we make with our money has an impact on the environment, for good or for bad. And if you want to start like looking to assess your environmental impact, money decisions is probably the best place to start. There's very little outside of it. We started with daily habits, like where you're going to buy your coffee from, what you put in your shopping trolley, etc. Our ambition is to go far wider and to start supporting individuals make better decisions for themselves and the planet with all their money, whether that's how they invest, what they put their pension in, how they buy their homes, etc., etc. Because I think that's where customers are going to want to see us move to quite quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. We've made the massive move for all of our millions of bill payment cards to be our degradable solution. I see all of our products and all of our clients moving to that way. So I think it's exciting, and I think we're just going to continue to innovate and with more sustainable products.